A fantastic question, and one that I will try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, happy late Halloween, happy Saints Day, soon to be Happy Day of the Dead. All right, let's get into it. So, there's a few reasons you may want to opt into using the restrictive tactics of the grimoires, in some cases where you may not want to do that. If you subscribe to demonolatry, chaos magic, paganism, things like that, you can definitely go more the way of sharpening your energy skills and meditative stuff to meet the spirits halfway, right? That's completely viable. It's completely doable. There's no reason you don't want to learn that. What you need to understand about the grimoires like the Goetia, the Heptameron, the Keys of Solomon, all that stuff is that these were written during a time where everything was very Christian, and if it wasn't Christian, it kind of just fell to the wayside, that kind of thing. Or it would be more folk practitioner, cunning man stuff, etc., which these two borrowed from each other a lot. You couldn't have the ceremonial magic without the folk practices, but the folk practices couldn't evolve without taking from the ceremonial grimoires. So neither of them in the current day would live without each other. And so when these paths pit each other against each other and just fight, it makes no fucking sense to me. I'm losing the plot. Let's get back to it. These were primarily Judeo Christian fueled systems, and therefore they saw the spirits they were conjuring in a light of exorcism. And this does not mean exorcism just to banish the spirit. Exorcism in this case is synonymous with evocation, which in evocation in this case is the art of conjuring a spirit forward by means of an oath. The same thing with such a exorcism. In both these cases, which in this case they're also the same thing, both the practitioner and the demon have previously agreed, both of them, to work the magic in the grimoire so that they may then proceed with the operation. You can find examples of this in some of the grimoires where, the demon signs its name, the mage who made the book, in a sense, signs their name or in the name of God or what have you. And everyone has been in agreement that when the conjurations in this book are used as they have been written down, that the demon must come, not because they feel threatened or anything else like that, but because it's like a play. It's like a show. I gotta show up. This is my cue. And the mage, the magician, has agreed to purify and do this, and that, create this, and that tool to create this sacred temple space, to create this sacred operation that they may welcome the demon in. These conjurations and tactics can also be very useful to have in your back pocket if spirits give you trouble. Not every demon or every spirit is just gonna be buddy buddy with you and say, "Oh yeah, I'll totally do that, man. No problem." You'll run into demons and spirits that may give you a rough time because there's a few folks out there, Jason Miller, B.J. Swain, who mention in their books and classes and such that talking with spirits and demons and gods can be very much like conversing with other people. And you're not going to get along with everyone. And not everyone's going to get along with you. And sometimes people will try to push your boundaries or push your buttons, and you'll have to stand up for yourself. Additionally, I'd also recommend stuff like this if you know that the spirit you need for this operation is going to be inherently violent, disliking towards humans, or anything of the sort. It seems to be very popular to just conjure spirits like Andros, number 63 in the Goetia, with the demonolatry methods and such like that, of which I really don't understand why people are so lackadaisical with it. Literally says in the books that he's a spirit where the practitioner does not have a care in the world about how they go about it. The spirits do not mind slaying that practitioner. And when you look at all of the Andros devotees around, that not all of them, but a good amount of them that just have just who's lost their mind, or just went off the fucking deep end. You should be able to see why. So that's a long, drawn out reason for why you may want to incorporate some Solomonic methods, why the methods may be useful to you, um, if for no other reason than it being a fun experiment and an interesting way to get your foot in the door. And hopefully you understand it a little bit better now. A fantastic question, and one that I will try to answer to the best of my ability.
The question that was posed in um, Devil's Advocate's video is actually very interesting. Now, my response to it would be a little different, and I'll admit, entirely based on UPG. However, it is something of a shared theory. There are a variety of spirits where you have to use more constricting or restricting rather, I guess both work, but restrictive methods of the spirit. And again, depending on either lore, exactly the kind of spirit we're talking about, etc., kind of changes the why. In some cases, it's proving that you can, which means that you are actually powerful enough to work with the spirits from the spirit's point of view. In some cases, it's just how the spirit works, like regardless of the kind of spirit or exactly what it's doing, it's just you need to show that you are powerful enough to bind it before anything else. And it's not necessarily like you have to prove yourself to me. It's just how it works. And of course, there are definitely cases of where you're working with absolutely malicious creatures, such as a Norse pagan, I'll work with beings. I'm going to call them troll spirits. There is a better, actual regional term, but I don't think I know how to pronounce it. But yeah, you kind of need to be able to restrict them, because if you don't restrict them, while working with them, they are going to mess you up. But working with them, still can have really good outcomes. It's just there's a risk to it. And that last one is kind of the basis of the Solomonic tradition, which I should state. There is no evidence that the Solomonic tradition actually leads back to Solomon, although the stories of Solomon are very similar to that last bit. But yeah, effectively, my answer to go along with everything that Devil's Advocate said is that sometimes it is necessary either by the will of the spirit or completely necessary for your own safety.
A fantastic question, and one that I will try to answer to the best of my ability.
Hey, Devil. Been a little bit. Anyways, my friend there asked me to give my own response to this too, so I figured I would. The idea in a lot of different cultures is just to fit the tradition of the spirit that you're working with. For example, I did a picture video a little bit about working with warrior spirits and how warrior spirits will feed the need to test you. They will need to know that you're strong enough to work with, that you're worthy. Some of them, certain Vatir, they see these things as almost respectful, that you would fear them enough to want to cage them to work with you. Also, I know there's Solomonic Magick practitioners that follow this via the traditions of the certain goetic spirits that they work with. So the whole idea basically is what is the spirit you're working with comfortable with, and on top of that too, there may be, again, reasons of violence that you'd need to do such a thing. And this is important to remember too, because certain spirits can be mercurial. They can be a bit vicious at times, and sometimes protections go beyond just words. Sometimes it takes thinking ahead and thinking like you're dealing with someone who is a violent and unpredictable being.
I have a new appreciation for the grimoires and their structure and style.
All right, I have some thoughts on this. First of all, go watch Devil's Advocate's video there. It's great talking points. And in fact, go back to their page and check out some of their other more recently uploaded videos. Some of them are talking about the same things, expanding upon these ideas a little bit. And what we're talking about here is Solomonic Magick, the Solomonic Grimoires. And if you don't know what Solomonic Magick is, I'll try to sum it up as quickly as I possibly can in the best way that I can. Essentially, it's a system of magic that was designed in the Middle Ages by mostly Catholic demonologists who wrote these grimoires, which essentially laid out these very specific instructions for ritual magic, conjuring and invoking these infernal, divine, or demonic spirits with magical circles, with sigils, and invoking the Tetragrammaton, or the four-letter name of the Judeo-Christian God. Okay? Got that out of the way? Good. Anyways, what we are talking about here is essentially in this first video from Devil's Advocate here, what he's saying is, a lot of people might ask, why do these spirits, why do these entities agree to this? Why do these rituals seem to work for people? Why do you seem to get results? Because it's kind of a hot button topic amongst magic practitioners and occultists online. With Solomonic magic, you either love it or you hate it, right? The biggest grievance regarding it is that, a lot of people feel that it is aggressive and controlling of the spirits, essentially binding them and telling them that they have to listen to you because you are invoking the name of the Judeo-Christian God. And, if you feel that way, that's all fine and good. The only real reason that I don't practice Solomonic magic myself is simply because I don't really want to invoke the Judeo-Christian God at all for anything. But that's just me. And I don't really do a lot with the Infernal Divine anyway. And what I do, what little work I do with them, it's different. But we'll get to that in a minute. So back to the original point here of why would these spirits agree to these kinds of terms when it seems like it's not really in their best interests. At least from the outside looking in, you might think, well, why would these spirits agree to this? And what Devil's Advocate's thought was on this is essentially because that was the agreement that was made with the magical practitioners that wrote these grimoires. Those were the terms that they came to. That, you perform the conjurations in this way, the rituals in this way, and if a magic practitioner does these steps in this correct way, then the demon is obligated to appear. And it's a two-way street because the practitioner has to do everything correctly. So you see, it's all about agreements. And it seems really simple, but it makes a lot of sense, actually, if you think about it, why does Solomonic magic seem to actually work, even though some people might not agree with the methodology? Because that was just the agreement. It's a really interesting line of thinking here, and I enjoy it a lot, actually. Now, like I said, I myself am not a practitioner of Solomonic magic by any stretch of the word. And as I said, it's mostly just because I have no real desire for invoking the name of the Judeo-Christian God. It's just not something I really want to do. And in addition to that, the only infernal divine entities that I really worship and work with in any regard are just Lucifer and King Belial. And the reason why I don't do anything Solomonic with either of them is, with regards to Lucifer, it's because the particular Lucifer that I work with is the Roman pagan light god Lucifer, and not the quote-unquote biblical Lucifer, which this is a whole other talking point of how there actually is no such thing as Lucifer in the Bible. There is no such angel. There is no such demon. That's a whole other video. If you want me to get into that, maybe ask in the comments, and I'll see if I can put together something about that. But yeah, Lucifer, more of a title, and multiple beings can hold it. And there is, in fact, one being that actually has the name Lucifer, and that would be the Roman pagan light god. And so that is the only Lucifer that I have really experienced. And so in that regard, my experience with him doesn't really involve Solomonic ritual magic in any way. And then with King Belial, the reason why I don't use Solomonic magic when invoking or working with King Belial is because the agreement that I came to with King Belial is that he wanted the same treatment as any of the other deities on my spiritual team. That's it. That's all. And so he has a space on the altar. He, when I want to work with him, when I want to petition him for something, I give him some nice offerings. I'll usually have a whole, nice ritual planned out, just like I would do rituals with Hecate, or rituals with Hades and Persephone, or lunar magic rituals with Selene, or love spells with Aphrodite. He just wanted the same treatment as any other deity on my team. And so that works for us. And it's very much, very, very much in King Belial's character as the unconquerable one, sort of play by his own rules, I'll do what I want. We don't have to do the Solomonic magic thing if I don't want to, and I don't want to in this case. This is what I want. And so that is the agreement that we came to. So in another video the Devil's Advocate put out there, he talks about why you might want to actually have these Solomonic practices in your back pocket if you need to. And the reason that he came up with was that because if you are dealing with a spirit that is, let's say, aggressive, unsavory, you're not getting along, and it seems like things might go south for you. Because, let's face it, in these Solomonic grimoires, they do talk about some of these entities not necessarily being so nice. And this really started getting me thinking because I had a really interesting experience with King Hades, where King Hades essentially gave me a little bit of gnosis in that he told me that he did not think it was a good idea for me to involve working with other members of the Infernal Divine besides the ones that I already had, being Lucifer and Belial. He's like, I don't really think it be in your best interest to explore this any further than that. I think what you have going is good for you, and that's it. And it really perplexed me for a while. I was like, I wonder why that is. I wonder why King Hades would suggest that. And in watching these videos the Devil's Advocate has been putting out, it actually got me thinking about it again, and I started wondering, I was like, is this what King Hades meant? Did he advise me that I don't think you should really bother working with any other infernals other than the ones that you already have, because you have a good thing going with them? And if you try reaching out to these other spirits and you're not going to do the Solomonic magic, because I know you're not going to do the Solomonic magic because I know you don't like it, it might not go well for you. Really something to think about. I was actually blown away by thinking about this. I was like, is that why? Is that why Hades said that? Was like, you shouldn't necessarily call upon any other spirits because if you're not going to do the steps, it might not go so well for you. I don't know. Anyway, that's my rant. That was my ramble about this and my personal experience with it. Great videos. Again, go check out Devil's Advocate. Amazing stuff. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
This is what I miss about the TikTok witchcraft scene, is where we can all just bounce ideas off each other, bounce perspectives off each other, and none of that bullshit. I've tagged 3 wonderful creators that I have very high respect for in the description of this video. Go give them some love. They made video responses to some of the stuff I was talking about in regards to the Solomonic methods, the grimoire conjurations, etc. And I want to add on a little bit more in regards to what they were talking about. Then the through line that you'll see with their videos is that it's talking about kind of like a test of metal, right? There's some spirits that are worked with that, you need to prove yourself, or, there's a bit of an honor regarded in those types of more aggressive, constricting, or restricting conjurations. And I love finding the through lines because that is the exact same thing with the Solomonic method as well. And this is where it's really cool with those through lines of finding out when to do those certain rituals and when not to. Because a lot of the grimoires were just meant to be like, this is the initial ritual you do, and then you learn more from the demons themselves or the angels themselves, etc. But if you ever needed to start the conversation, or wanted to be very specific about the conversation, or you needed to reset the conversation, that was the ritual to do, and then you would ease into the relationship over time. But and I get this question a lot of why are the Solomonic rituals so damn long, and then sometimes so damn repetitive? Well, it kind of has to do with proving yourself, testing your stamina, your mettle of sorts, and also, in line with the covenant of the grimoires, also showing that reverence and respect. Those grimoires and the rituals that they do, oh come spirit, as blah blah blah, did this and this, now I call you into this space, etc etc etc, come blah 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 blah. Basically what you're saying, you're knocking on the door and you're saying, I know you, I've done my research, I know who you are, I know what you're about, I know what you do, I have the authority to be here. I have the authority to call you because I have educated myself and done what I have needed to do. It is a pleasure to meet you. It's time for you to meet me. That would be more of the case of summoning the angels, though, I will say. Whereas with the demons, it is literally that thing of upholding the covenant and saying, with these holy names, I conjure you forth. But it's also saying, hey, I have the ability to pull this off. That's why I am worthy to be speaking with you, Demon X, to do this working. And this is why you should trust me with a metaphysical partnership. So, all that to say, I love seeing through lines. I love seeing connections. I love seeing consistency between practices. It gets me so damn excited every single time. And to see them in different limelights, different viewpoints, it just makes me so happy. And it's, the more things are different, the more the cores are the same. That's what I love. Once again, give those folks down in the description a follow. Go like their videos. They're lovely people. And I don't talk with you guys enough. So much respect, much love. And it's good to hear from you guys again.